Hey guys, Sharpend here, and in this video we're going to break down the final track for my EP called Stay Here Forever. So Stay Forever is the last song that I wrote in the EP, and it came to be because I discovered hammer-ons on guitar. And for those of you that don't know, hammer-ons on guitar is when you play a note and then you put your finger down on the string after you play that note. So here is an example. So this sort of like slidey thing, and I just discovered that and I was so excited, and I just came up with this nice ARP melody. And then I just started writing words and melodies, but I have terrible coordination, so I just like played a very basic version of the chords, which is on the 6th fret capo, and the chords are just C major, C major 9, and then F major 7, F minor. And I just recorded myself on the phone while writing basically the first two verses and the chorus, and sadly I formatted my phone so I don't have it with me anymore. But that was the beginning, and I wrote this song about having to move on and other people in your life also having to move on. It's called Stay Forever because I wish I could stay in a certain moment or a certain time in my life forever, but I know I can't, and I know that other people can't. We all have to move on, and it's about accepting that and moving on yourself. So apart from my guitar playing the ARP, there's also a few other things that it plays. It also plays the bass line. I just pitched it down an octave to make it sound like a bass guitar, and it also plays the lead at the end. It's a lot more distorted than now, but it just goes something like this. And it also plays like a very basic ARP. I'm not really sure how I play it, but it's something like this. Yeah, something like this. And there are also a bunch of harmonics that a good friend, How Great Were the Robins, sent to me. Harmonics is when you put your finger on top of a fret but you don't press down, specifically on the 5th, the 7th and the 12th fret, and you get a really nice sound compared to this. And just the very subtle tone of it fit perfectly with this track. Other than that, there are a few field recordings of me and my friends just like stomping on leaves in a river, and also me and my dad just walking in a forest. It's literally in the lyrics, walking alone in this forest, so I felt it would be right to just add some walking in a forest ambience. And other than that, there's also some mortar and pestle, just like in Through the Night. Here it is. It sounds like this. I just sampled a few of these and then used them to play as an instrument in that track. And that's pretty much it for the real instruments in this song. So now we can head into the DAW and see how I produced the song. Okay, so welcome to the project file for Stay Here Forever. So this is not too big. It took a while to finish this, even though it was very minimalistic, because I really wanted to find the right sounds for this. So it starts with the guitar ARP that I mentioned. It's my guitar direct in with some effects. So you have some vibrato, some reverb, and some shape in EQ. I'm reducing some of the lows since they can get very overwhelming on electric guitar, and I'm sending it to a delay. And other than that, you have some rain ambience that I recorded. Very simple. So together you get this. And then there's my vocals. It was like the first take that I recorded. It just sounded perfect, so I kept it. I thought I'd stay. Let's see how I processed these. So some autotune, some high pass and a high boost, and that's it. I thought I'd stay. Very simple, and it works really well, so I'm really proud of that. And as you can see, like the first minute, it pretty much is the same thing, just like the guitar arp and the ambience with my vocals. And then there's this sort of mini break part where we add a bunch of things. So I have some sign improv that I played. It's very reverbed out, and it just provides a very nice transition. And then we have this synth. It's, I think, a low-pass square, and it just has a very long portamento. So as you can hear, it takes a lot of time to glide between notes. And I added a touch of distortion so that when the notes reverb, you can hear some distortion when you have a few notes playing together. Oh yeah, I've used Amplitude to introduce that distortion. And other than that, we have some forest sounds, crickets and birds, and the sound that I mentioned, me and my dad just walking in a forest. And as you can see, I used some automation to make it sound like it's going up in volume, like a crescendo, and then it goes back down, diminuendo. This just helps make it more rhythmic and more fit into the song. And then we get to the, you can call it second verse, which is this part. We introduce some road sounds. It's playing very basic chords and a small melody. Just following the chords of the main guitar arp. And I've added this nice NASA sample. They upload a lot of samples to the SoundCloud.
Space Shuttle Discovery still on its way to orbit after a successful
I just made a bandpass filter to make it sound way more radio-ish.
Space Shuttle Discovery still on its way to
and
orbit.
It's in the back, and I'm really proud of this one. I featured this one in a very early song that I made called Atmosphere, and I'm really proud I got the chance to introduce it in this case. Other than that, we have some strings. So they're very basic and they take a lot of time to change notes, but I think they add a very nice touch to this section. And we also have this. Let's see what it is. Oh, so these strings are playing a more melodic line. And as you can see, volume-wise, you have like the part of the verse, and then you have the part where I start singing away, and then there's a bass drop sound. So this is when the strings really go up in intensity to make it sound like a more of a crescendo moment, a bigger part from this song. And here's the bass. I recorded it on my electric guitar, and then I pitched it down an octave. And just like this tiny bit of bass drop at the start, like this thing, just makes it way more impactful. And as for this part, we also have the mortar and pestle that I mentioned, playing an arp. And let's see if we have other things happening in this part. we bring back the same reverbed out synth and the forced steps. And other than that, there's just my vocals. There's the main vocal line, which is this. So this is the first time in the song that the vocals have any other effect than like EQ and stuff like that. Like the vocals have been 100% dry so far. And I wanted to contrast that since we have very strong bass. I didn't want the vocals to clash with it too much. So I decided this part should have very big, roomy reverb vocals. And there's also some backing vocals as well. Let's hear them out. So together with the main vocal. I think it sounds very nice and it makes this part even more meaningful. And then when you get to the next part, it's sort of like the third verse, second verse. So I started to add some drums. The drums are very minimalistic, and that's because at first this song was like a Galimatias experiment. I was trying to recreate a drum loop from his song, how's it called? It's Not Let Me Know, it's the one he dropped on SoundCloud exclusively. And I just wanted to recreate that, so after I recreated it, I took a more basic version and put it here. So you have a very basic kick and a very basic rimshot sound and a nice percussion tom, and just that fit perfectly for this song. I didn't need to add anything else. And let's see what else we have here. We have the same bass guitar, and we have the some additional guitars that I recorded. We have this one just playing the chords, and I'm modulating to increase a reverb send, so it gets more ambient a bit after the chord plays. And we also have the ARP that I mentioned. So this has a lot of reverb, and I think it sounds very dreamy and a nice addition. Okay, so let's see what else do we have here. We have the same Rhodes from before. We have the same modern pestle thing. And we have some, I think it's my vocal being delayed and auto-tuned. Yeah, it's just my vocals being super auto-tuned and super delayed with a bunch of reverb added on top to make the main vocals a bit more interesting. I was wondering if you'll ever let me go. So the cool thing is that in this part, at first there was complete silence when we get to the second part of this verse. So you have like, I was wondering if you're ever gonna let me go. And just complete silence except for me breathing and bass drop. But I felt it would be nice to add like the delayed vocals in the back. And I think it kickstarts the second part of this verse really nicely. So in this part we're adding back the forced steps, the forced ambience, and the gliding synth. And I'm also adding a percussion loop. It's just one note over and over again. And other than that, I don't think there's anything else happening here. I just added the same backing vocals thing from before. So let's hear it. I'm not myself without you ever. That will finally let it go. So in this part we transition to the second part of the song. These guitar chords are basically the first thing I did in this song before it was Stay Forever. And in order to transition, I'm just like reverbing things out, and I'm adding some effects like this explosion sound and the same NASA sample. This time it has some delay on top of it, and the guitar playing has a low pass, so it takes time to build up. And here are the harmonics that I mentioned. So they are playing the main chorus vocal melody, like this part. And I don't feel the way I did before, and you can't feel. So yeah, they're playing the vocal melody a bit before it arrives, and other than that, there's not much happening here. It's just that the guitar sort of opens up over time. And then we get to the vocal chorus. So here we're changing the melody of the guitar harmonics, which is the same melody as the main solo, like this part. It's the same thing. And I'm adding a bunch of things to make it a bit more interesting. There's some Rhodes chords. There's a vinyl crackle. There's a very reverbed out pad. And there are a bunch of reverbed out random things and bits that I took from the song and reverbed out. So it gives a sense of like you can tell it's from the song, but it's been reverbed out and reversed and delayed. So it just adds a very nice ambience to this part. And there's the vocals. These are also like the first take I think that I recorded because it just sounded great. And then we get to the second part of the chorus where we start having a build up. So we have these drums. Let's find them. Wait. Yeah, right here. So as you can see, they are very distorted, like a lot of distortion. And I'm low passing them to open them up gradually. Till it gets to a very like intense point, and then I cut everything out to prepare for the final instrumental part. And other than that, we also have a very strong bass sound that does the same thing. It's just an 808 sound that is also slowly opening up in low pass cutoff. And let's see if there's anything else. There's the main guitar solo also opening up. At the start you can't hear it, but as you progress you can hear it a lot better. So it's like sort of like this epic band build-up thing going on with guitars, bass, and a very intense drum kit. And I also added a bunch of sort of like backing vocals on top of the main vocals. And they're very in the back, and they're very reverbed out. The way I did before. So they provide like a nice counter to the very clear and focused main vocals. They're sort of like the chaotic version that fits this very chaotic build-up a lot better. I did before. And yeah, we get to like one bar before the instrumental part. So I just added a bunch of drums here, some toms. Yeah, and that's like the way to transition into this part. There are also some leaf stomps that I mentioned before. And they just sound great for this part. So when we get to the instrumental part, I have some That Sound drum loops. They sound absolutely great, and very intense, and that's really what I was looking for. The only thing I added to these drums is like the leaf layers. Copying my friend stomping on leaves. It just works really well with the drums. It works really well with the snare drum especially. And you just have like this instrumental solo with the guitar. It's very distorted. And I was slightly inspired by Eden in this part, where I just like glitched the guitar a bit as well. It just felt right and it sounded glorious. I was sort of inspired by Icarus by Eden, where he has this very big instrumental chorus at the end, and it just sounds great. And then for the second part, I'm adding a bunch of backing vocals. They're singing Stay, so let's hear them. Stay, stay. And there's also the main backing vocals from before. And also a bunch of reversed sounds from the song. I just felt like it sounded good to add like more ambience, like to have the first part of the chorus a bit more controlled, and then just go all out, a lot of backing vocals, a lot of ambient sounds in the back. And then when we get to the end of this part, we sort of reduce the intensity of everything. So I've done that by reducing the volume of the drums. Like it's the same drums, but they are a bit less louder, so it sounds like we've calmed down a bit from this intense part. And here we have the mortar and pestle sound coming back, the guitar arp, the main guitar sound, the main guitar chords, the bass line again, and here we have a bunch of backing vocals as well. So the main vocals are these things. I can stay here forever. And we have a lot of backing vocals to support them. It just sounded really nice to have like a call and response on the backing vocals here. So let's hear them. I can stay here forever. I can stay here forever. So yeah, we have like just the drums, and just like by switching into the bass guitar from the 808, it sounds a lot less loud and intense and more like a band playing this part. And then we get rid of the drums in a fill here. So I just have like a very soft kick. Wait, let's hear it. And some toms. So they're like sort of an impact sound. And that's the end of the drums in this track. We have the same guitar harmonics from How Great Were the Robins playing, and just like the guitar arp and the washed out guitar chords. And that's it. I can stay here forever. And you can take this new weather on. So I think it's a good way to end the song, because I'm just taking like the main elements except for this main guitar arp, and just like adding a touch of delay to the vocals so you can hear them repeating over and over. And with this lead that plays a lot, and it's also the melody of the main chorus, this part, it's a very nice way to end on familiar terms. You feel like you've heard this part before, but you really didn't. And I think it's a great way to end this song and also end the EP in a sense of familiarness. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. And I can't wait to keep making more videos. And I'll see you in the next one.